Welcome to the Lodge. You've accessed
the Lodgecast experience.
Warning, warning, dangerous spoilers ahead. Enjoy.
Looking for some hot takes on the Lodgecast. I need phone counts and library rights. I want some hot takes in my eardrums. Watch out for salad dragons. These takes are coming in hot tonight. I want some hot takes. I need your hot takes.
Hello and welcome to a very special Royal Rumble edition of Hot Takes. I'm your Lodge Master. With me as always is Brother Bishki.
We're back in the lockdown again.
We got Brother Lucas on the Zooms.
Lodgecasters, welcome.
And tonight we got two special zooming in guests. Brother Zach
Omicron.
and Brother Anthony is here.
Zooming. Boom, boom, booming.
What movie could possibly bring us all together to discuss via Zoom? It's none other than Adam McKay's Don't Look Up. And it is being currently sledgehammered at you in Netflix. They need you to watch it. Every time you open Netflix, you will get a face full of J-Law or Ariana Grande or DiCaprio. There's a celebrity for every demographic in this movie. They're trying to cover the spread. And I heard some rumblings that there were some strong feelings about this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not going to be wasting time on talking about the plot, but we'll give you a little schnapps. Let's give you a little schnapps.
How do you get the protein as quick as possible into the bloodstream? A little schnapps.
I'm going to read it fast. I'm going to read it as fast as I possibly can. Okay. From Rotten Tomatoes. Cate Blanchett, Jennifer Lawrence, an astronomy grad student, and a professor, Dr. Randall Mindy, Leonardo DiCaprio, make an astounding discovery of a comet orbiting within the solar system. The problem, it's on a direct collision course with Earth. The other problem, no one really seems to care. Turns out warning mankind about a planet killer the size of Mount Everest is an inconvenient fact to navigate. With the help of Dr. Oglethorpe, Rob Morgan, Cate and Randall embark on a media tour that takes them from the office of an indifferent President Orlean, Meryl Streep, and her sycophantic son and chief of staff, Jason, Jonah Hill, to the airwaves of the Daily Rip, an upbeat morning show hosted by Brie, Cate Blanchett, and Jack, Tyler Perry. With only 6 months until the comet makes impact, managing the 24-hour news cycle and gaining the attention of the social media obsessed public before it's too late proves shockingly comical. What will it take to get the world to look up?
Shockingly comical. There's some editorial.
Now hold on.
I'm holding.
We're not going to be talking you through the plot any more than that mega schnapps already has.
Yeah.
So if you want to understand what we're talking about, just turn on Netflix and it will skull fuck you into watching it. Just watch it. Just watch the movie and then you'll know what we're going on about.
The numbers Netflix released also, by all accounts, indicate that everyone is watching it.
Right. Bigger than Red Notice. So what does that tell you? I've seen that too, goddammit.
If you can tell by Anthony's snarky ass tone, there are some battle lines that are drawn here. And it wouldn't take a professional listener of this podcast to guess where these lines are drawn. It's Brother Zach and myself versus LT and Anthony. Bishki's the wild card. We don't know where he's coming from.
Come on,
LT, I'm tagging you in LT. I honestly think I know what Bishki's take on it is, but I'm not 100% because he's a trickster. He'll surprise you always.
Like, how do we even crack into this? Where do we stand on the general vibe of this movie? It's a satire. And I will be the first to say it is not necessarily a subtle satire.
No.
But I feel that in this day and age, what the fuck is subtlety gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do with subtlety these days?
Make a compelling feature, make a narrative that actually intrigues me.
I think it's more satired.
I like that.
Ooh.
Hashtag that.
Ooh.
No, I love it.
These guys.
I love it. It's high concept satire in the likes of Idiocracy, Downsizing, Mainstream, starring Andrew Garfield. Really, really good just, because there's something to be said for subtle satire, but sometimes you just got to pound people over the head and just make it bonkers. And that's.
I had a note to bring up downsizing way later in this endeavor. So Bishki already brought it up.
Yes.
I will say that was for me, it's always been the law of diminishing returns with Adam McKay. And I was never on board with his comedies post Anchorman 1. Like the other guys people loved. I was not laughing in the theater.
I didn't laugh once.
Step Brothers.
You guys are insane, but move on.
Anyway, my point is I remember seeing The Big Short and thinking, oh, this is clever. This is kind of entertaining, but you completely forget about it. And you don't ever have the desire to re-experience it or rewatch it. And then with Vice, I remember seeing that at a drive-in movie theater in Sacramento. and I was like, man, like, who is this movie for? Like, who's the audience for this besides Adam McKay and his like writing buddies? And then with this, Don't Look Up. I just thought, oh man, it just feels so heavy-handed, like for satire or drama or comedy,
which
or whatever.
can be fine. Heavy-handed can be fine if it's funny. If it's funny, then I don't mind that at all. But I didn't find. I'll even go further back than Brother Lucas. I was not a fan of Mr. McKay's tenure on SNL at all. I thought him as a head writer, I thought that was honestly probably one of the worst tenures that show has had. So haven't been on board with him at all. I don't think Anchorman is deep. Funny. I think it's the most bro-y comedy that one could find.
No.
I Step Brothers, I'm sorry. I saw it once. I did not get it. There wasn't anything to get. Other guys, goddamn, I almost walked out of the theater. I've not been a fan.
Got a grudge.
I've not been a fan of Mr. McKay. I didn't even get to The Big Short, and I love everyone in that cast, and I didn't do it. And Vice looked like a whole lot of acting. Just looked like a whole lot of acting going on in that movie.
Well, yeah, Vice, I'm not going to stand up for, but
nobody's going to support Vice here.
I do want to hear Zach's hot take on this, on his first impressions and this film.
Zach's chilling in the cut here.
Yeah, I mean, just very simply, I was laughing throughout the entire movie. Very simply.
Same.
It doesn't have to be Dr. Strangelove for it to be funny. It doesn't have to be, like an all-time satire. I found it to be funny. I found that it really captured the cultural moment that we're in. I thought Mark Rylance was fucking hilarious as the.
Can we at least agree on that?
Can we agree on that?
Utopic,
that 100% I can agree on. That Mark
Anthony,
Rylance
come on. Can we agree on that?
I mean, he was doing this character from Ready Player One, which I'm ashamed that I knew, but I saw it yesterday. I'm like,
so I haven't seen Ready Player One, so I can't comment on that. But I could just say that
never see it.
That
it's
Mark
an updated
Rylance
patch on his Ready Player One.
Yes, that is fair. That is fair.
Did a great job as a Silicon Valley, a utopian who is in
Musk, Zuckerberg, Bezos.
Yeah, total Musk. He's insulted that you'd even call him a businessman. That calling him a businessman was an insult. I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
So I thought he was great. I thought Cate Blanchett was hilarious, and Tyler Perry as the anchors of that morning show. I thought, it's interesting. A lot of people have said that like DiCaprio is yelling at me the whole movie. And I'm like, well,
yes, that is true.
I thought he was great. And I thought he was kind of like a Dr. Burke's character for me. After watching these stooges get completely turned out by the Trump administration last year, people just selling their credibility to kind of stay in the room with an idiot, and the parade of Dr. Birx's and everyone that kind of rolled through. I thought they did a good job with DiCaprio kind of coming in with a real fire in his belly and then quickly getting completely twisted by the limelight and the attention.
Eroding his dignity and honor.
Yeah, I thought that was entertaining. I mean, it's not a perfect movie. It's over long. I thought Jennifer Lawrence's character was a little thinly sketched. I'd almost say could they not have just deepened DiCaprio's character and made him the lead and not even had her character, but
give him the bangs.
And lastly, I'll say the end of the movie was pretty chilling and then had a very funny button on it. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. That's my hot take is it was an enjoyable ride.
Anthony, you didn't crack a smile when Rylance tells President Streep that she's going to die by getting eaten by a Bronteroc, and we don't know what that means yet.
You mean at the very end?
And then we see her get eaten by a Bronteroc.
Okay, I did a little bit, but I will say that tone right there should have been pretty much throughout the entirety of the film. Like, be really fucking silly, just go for it, because for me, it was stuck in neutral. It couldn't decide whether or not it wanted to be preachy the entire time or it wanted to just get on its soapbox.
Well, it's trying to do both. It's trying to do everything.
But I feel like it was like at neutral in every single aspect that it tried. And for me, it just didn't work. Like, I didn't mind, the button at the end, but I needed a whole hell of a lot more of that throughout the film.
It's doing a delicate dance because I feel like they took the kitchen sink approach because there is true passion and frustration behind everything. And they're like, we have this money from Netflix. We have this fucking cast that's stacked to the gills. We have this chance to say something to people around Christmas time that everybody's going to at least tune into a few minutes of. What are we going to do? Throw everything at it. All tones, all fucking issues. And, like right now, it's been said that like musicians aren't really stepping up to take on any sort of anthems about any of these issues like they did back in the 60s and the 70s. And nobody's really making movies about it.
Which is fun. And I agree. Like, I'll agree to that point that there should be issues-driven movies. It would be nice, though, if they were entertaining or funny.
Sure. So funny is subjective, obviously. And you Adam McKay killed your dog back in the day.
2 of my dogs,
obviously. 2 of them. So that leaves us with the common denominator of, should we be tearing down these attempts at getting people to look the fuck up? Or should we be trying to see what's good in them, because it's at least something?
Yeah, I mean, my take is it was just done with such viciousness, like in terms of, the whole media culture and just the inability to communicate scientific information. And it just was done with such, like the kitchen sink approach. Like, it was just throwing out the whole culture in terms of what it was trying to attack. And that was admirable for me and funny because of so many great performers in this film.
I've got a very acute allergy to preachy movies. And so to me, it's funny. I feel very disconnected from a lot of the criticism of this movie because I just found it so entertaining, and I didn't feel like it was like preaching to the choir about something that we already get. Like, to me, it was just sautéing all these things that deserve to be roasted. Our media culture is moronic and loud and doesn't allow for subtlety or urgency or anything. It's a soap opera, and the same. I mean, sometimes the jokes were obvious and didn't land, but all in all, I thought it was pretty entertaining. And then you have these little moments, like when Timothee Chalamet goes to the grocery store and they're preparing their final meal, and they're like, "We got to get fingerling potatoes," and he goes, "Yes, I fucking love fingerling potatoes."
That's a laugh, Anthony. You laughed at that.
No, I didn't.
Chalamet, this is how you use Chalamet, ladies and gentlemen.
He was fantastic.
Forget Dune. Forget the weepy Chalamet. Chalamet is a comedian, and I laughed at almost every line he said in this movie.
I did have the opposite experience of that.
Anti-Chalamet over here.
No, I'm not anti-Chalamet at all. I completely just did not have that experience, but I
dig trying to make a modern, updated version of Sidney Lumet, or excuse me, Patty Chayefsky's Network movie. But I feel like the way he went about cracking the story, I think to piggyback off what Brother Anthony was mentioning earlier, like the way this was kind of structured, I felt like painted itself into a corner, because when you start it so urgently, like from the cold open, it's like you have really nowhere to go. So I felt like with DiCaprio going on the daily rip once, okay, that's kind of funny, but then to like have him keep going back, I was like, okay, I don't care if this is realistic, but this is just redundant and like kind of obnoxious or whatever. And it's not as funny. Like it's going back to the well, for, you know.
But it's kind of like Fauci. Like we see Fauci so much, like no one takes him seriously anymore. Like he's just he becomes a celebrity. He becomes a celebrity that you one side demonizes and the other side loves, and then you get like Ariana Grande performing to try to like get people to look up. I mean, it's just impossible.
And Bishki, on the Ariana Grande thing, I will say real quick, I mean, what did we just see on the Jan 6 anniversary? You know, when Nancy Pelosi is introducing Lin-Manuel Miranda to do a song about a fucking coup insurrection that we are just like, is just becoming another both sides choose your adventure. As to whether, I mean, it's just not, that's what I'm saying. This movie deserves.
If anything, it could be crazier.
That's what I'm saying.
Because that's what we're living in.
I mean,
it could be crazier.
The culture is on tilt right now. Everything is people are like, oh, don't, you know, you're if you say you're going over the top about something, like you're overreacting if you care about anything, and so it, to me, is very believable when everyone's like, "Don't look up," because that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a recontextualization of things that we all saw with our own eyes, and then we see people with political motives say, "Oh, but what's really going on is they're tourists. They weren't trying to stop the political process.
Right?
They're just upset." And you just see how these lies get rinsed in the media, and the media is trying to present everything as one side says this, the other side says that. We can't say for sure. Why don't you tell us? And after the commercial break.
And on the preachiness front, it's like, we all want satire to be cool and too cool for school, but that's not going to work on those that are just marinating in Fox News that switch over to Netflix to see what Leo DiCaprio's going on about.
You gotta just pound him on the head.
Man, he's going to lose a lot of that Revenant audience that loved him eating the bison. They're going to be like, not my DiCaprio.
All the J. Edgar stands.
There's online discourse, if you want to call it that, where the detractors of this movie are like, real smart movie, guys. What the fuck does a comet have to do with global warming?
Jesus.
Like, what the fuck are you going to do with that?
That's my thing.
What
Like,
are you going to do?
I am totally pro all the politics in the film. That's not even a question.
Same.
You know, the thing for me is that, did it entertain me? Did I laugh? No, I didn't. And
just like again, piggybacking off the comment someone made earlier about like, I wish it were crazier. There were like a lot of funny throwaway lines, you know, where someone's like, I'm doing an 8-ball. And it's like, man, that would be cool to see. You know, let me just see a scene of someone doing an 8-ball and like dealing with, you know, the reality.
Right. And then it just felt so unfocused, so many tangents, so many jokes that didn't land for me. There was no point at all to have a whole subplot between Blanchett and DiCaprio having their little, you know, affair. That did nothing. You take that out of the film, it changes nothing. All Jonah Hill stuff just did not work for me at all. The boy with the dragon tattoo, are you fucking kidding me? This is where we're at with improvisational comedy. It made me cringe. I wanted that comment to hit sooner than fucking later. Sorry.
What about Streep, you guys? What about Streep?
Well, she didn't. What?
She could have played that so broad, and you know her and Trump hate each other.
It should have been broad.
No, she was doing something cool. She was doing this low simmering idiot that was so much more interesting than if she was just like farting into a loudspeaker as a presidential address. You know, like it was so interesting to watch her try to look like she was paying attention to this stuff. And then you realize she wasn't listening to anything. That's what made it more frustrating. If she was a braying ass the whole time, of course she's not listening. She gives you a little hope at first. And then, no, there's no hope.
The Streep Trump rally was a little too, I mean, if you want to get the Netflix audience, like, I don't know what you do, but to just make it like a straight mega rally. I mean, I guess I don't know what you do alternative. Streep was the only one that I kind of had issues with. Everybody else,
I liked her in it. I enjoyed her in it. I enjoyed seeing her in this gear. I'd also would say I disagree, Andy, about the romance with Cate Blanchett, because first of all, I thought she was very funny, but I also feel like that's part of the corruption of the DiCaprio character's narrative. You see him very sincerely trying to save the world, and then he gets seduced into the limelight, and is, even he can't remain uncorruptible.
And it gives him a semblance of an arc when he comes home finally at the end and 100%, becomes sane again.
That's why I kind of felt like with J-Law, I felt like we were getting somewhere, and then she didn't become essential to the narrative in the third act.
Yeah,
right. And we just
kind of Chalamet.
She really did.
Yeah, we just kind of pictured. She kind of was she had a bit of a romance with Chalamet, but that was mainly played for laughs. So that to me was one of my main gripes. Is I just felt like DiCaprio's character had a real solid arc, rise and fall, and a come home moment at the end. And I really, just speaking about the last 15-minute suite, it really was kind of chilling, because for me, I felt like the way everyone was talking around the table was very real about how people try and remain focused on being in the moment with friends and family when something deeply fucked up is going on around them that everyone knows is happening, but we're all trying to not think about or say. And to me, that was a very compelling end of the movie. It was very chilling. Kind of was not a great movie to watch before going to bed. It left me rolling awake, for quite some time after watching it.
I get what you're saying, but to me, that whole thing didn't feel earned. It just felt like it was kind of grafted on to have this kind of emotional arc. And to me, I didn't care about any of the characters at that point. I totally get what you're saying, but it just felt so kind of shoved and inorganic at that point for me. Same thing with DiCaprio's character. I perked up at the moment when he was deciding possibly to side with with Mark Rylance's company, and then he's thinking maybe we should do this, and then they totally do turn around and buy it back, and then it goes nowhere. And I thought that was one of the more that's when I really got invested, and then they just do a complete 180, and then he's back to where he kind of was.
I don't know, it's the arc of the character, but anyway.
I can see that. These characters aren't expertly drawn. But by the end, I was just kind of putting myself at that table. I'm putting humanity at that table, at least the sane faction who knows that the bridge is out up ahead. And just looking around, trying to act normal when shit is literally crumbling around you. I was beyond the characters at that point. So I guess that's the mark of the movie working on you, is if you are able to look past any sort of story flaws and just kind of look at it as just a parable of where we are and being fuck, this sucks.
I also just really liked leading up to that final table and everything when we're in the kind of the control room, the war room, and everyone's trusting the capitalists to get it right, and we're seeing even the images on the asteroid of these robots landing and knock it. The effects were really cracking me up, actually.
Yeah.
When it's drilling into the asteroid and then bouncing off and it going wrong. There was something very silly and funny about
Bezos
that
crashing in space. You just have to love it.
Yeah, and he's just emotionless, going, okay, well, we still have 6 working drillers or whatever.
And that's what it would be like, too. And that's what it will be like.
It will be.
I like Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry was really great.
Tyler Perry was great.
That was
the part he was born to play.
I would have loved to see more of his character, actually. I thought he was really, I think he was the best thing for me, quite honestly.
Yeah.
TP, always great. I would like to talk about the editing, see what the Lodge Master feels about the editing.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. It's Hank Corwin again. He did Vice, and I think he did The Big Short, and he definitely did Natural Born Killers, which was very formative for me on many fronts. I I was completely annoyed by Vice. I thought that
the editing was very distracting. Yeah.
Was not the correct choice, to put it mildly. And whereas I don't think he'll ever reach the Natural Born Killer's perfect alchemy that he had back then, just the story and the way that they were mixing all the media and that glorious, glorious, glorious symphony of a film. I don't think you can ever top that, but I was into it in this. It added to the chaos for me in a way that wasn't too distracting. There were a few times where I was like, oh shit, the editor is, giving himself a hand job here.
Describe what you mean by that. Do you mean like when he's cutting to like little montage of real world footage and things like that?
It's anything that's a little aside that you cut to, like a little vignette here or a little montage here, or when you go to obvious stock footage.
Yeah,
that's
what I thought.
Stock footage. Yeah, like stuff like that. But he was much more restrained than he was with Vice. Like
Vice shouldn't have had any of that crazy editing in it. Like it ruined.
Vice shouldn't have happened.
Christian Bale's performance was so good, and it just got ruined by the editing. I thought.
I think the style of editing actually, like, it didn't always work for me during the meat of the film, but I think it did pay off in that final 15-minute suite where he's cutting around the world and keeping you rooted in that. In Dr. Mindy's dinner table and everything, and watching the whole world kind of end, I thought was very effective. Actually,
I definitely, quote unquote, have notes, but of the Hank Corwin, Adam McKay collabs, this was probably the most easy to digest for me. We got to make this an extra spicy, extra fast hot take, y'all. So we got to go with them. Don't look up bones. All right, my comrade in arms, Brother Zach, what you got for the bones?
In the words of a recent Lodgecast guest, first to bone.
First to bone.
You are first to bone, Zach.
That's got to stick. That's got to stick.
I want to make that a hat.
Yeah, that's great for the merch, for the Lodgecast merch.
Yeah. First to bone.
First to bone. I keep it short. I keep it sweet. 3 bones. Really enjoyed. Met the moment. Just a lot to be tickled by. Was it sloppy? Yes. Was it fun? Yes. And was it searing indictment of our current politics, culture, media landscape, and treatment of all things that are threatening our current way of life, not just climate change, but also democracy itself and our urgency or lack thereof towards it. It was all those things. I think it was a solid movie that I'd recommend to a family member, friend, and maybe even a Joe Blow on the street.
There you go. Thank you for joining me in this fight, Zach. I know you got to take off. So love and light.
Love and light, Zach.
Love and light, Brother Zach. Good to see you.
Great to be here. Good to see all the faces. I'm sure we'll be in person in a couple weeks.
God willing.
Who the hell knows?
Let's go to the counterpoint. Brother Anthony rained fire upon us.
Look, I don't like to be negative. Well, that's not entirely true, but I don't like to be, I don't like to be the wet blanket. There were things that I did like about this movie. All that said, I'm going to come down with 1 bone.
One bone for Don't Look Up.
There were some things that I did like about it, so I can't completely just...
Like what?
Tyler Perry. Again, Tyler Perry's my
full bone for Perry.
That's it. Full bone. That's a wrap.
A Medea bone.
I will not argue giving a full unblemished bone to Tyler Perry. I'll take that. That's perfect. All right. Let's save the mystery of Bishki a little bit. Brother Lucas, what you got cooking?
Yeah, I watched the movie the way God intended, which was like in bed on a Saturday morning, scrolling on my phone. But I wish it was just structured differently, or maybe told from a different point of view than the people who like discover the asteroid.
Maybe if it was a Quibi joint.
Yeah.
That's
No,
actually not bad. Yeah.
I just felt the way it was structured, it like started too abruptly or too soon because it didn't really give it anywhere to go. And so it kind of felt like emotionally, it was just one note that they kept playing and like repeating over and over. And yeah, I didn't laugh. There weren't enough laughs. Like at a certain point, you've got DiCaprio just screaming and yelling at you. And it's like, bro, it's Saturday morning. Like I'm in my bedroom. Like relax.
Fair. That's a fair criticism.
But I love how committed he is. And Mark Rylance, was just so kooky, man. Like that guy, he needs to do more comedies than dramas at this point.
He needs to give his Oscar back to Stallone is what he needs to do. That's what he needs to do.
Oh, man, that's brutal. Yeah, that actually hurts.
I swear he studied Marshall Applewhite, the leader of the Heaven's Gate cult, for this role. Like he's got the eyes. He's got the eyes down.
Got the demeanor. He's got that weird grandfatherly, like, nature calls. I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be back. So I give it 1.5 bones.
Wow. Brother Anthony limboing under the hothead.
Man,
that's something.
Yeah. I'm honored. This is, do I get something?
No.
Damn it.
You get absolutely nothing. You get to watch Don't Look Up again at your earliest convenience. We're gonna save Brother Bishke till dead last.
Okay.
For drama's sake. So I'll just say this. I'll just preach to you like this. Guys, listen, the world of entertainment, it's so fractured and so niche right now that it's a minor miracle if anybody can get a ton of people to look in one direction at the same time, in this case up, or in this case at Netflix. It's a miracle. And the fact that so many people saw this movie and its message is what it is, to basically wake up to all these fucking horrors that we are faced with, I think that's a noble cause. It's not a perfect movie, but I am totally down with its message, and I laughed a lot, and so I don't know what else I could ask from it. It's a 3-boner for me, just like my comrade Zach. I'm not going to go above 3. I'm not saying that this should win Oscars. Although,
don't worry, it will.
It's going to be embarrassing.
It probably will. Yeah.
If it does, those speeches are going to be pretty funny. But I got to give it 3 bones. And I'm guessing Bishke's going to be close to that. I don't know. I think he might thread the needle.
Come on, Brother Bishke. Come on.
You can feel it in your bones. This movie's aiming high in terms of satire. Is it Dr. Strangelove and Network? No. But is it Downsizing and Idiocracy? Yes. It's up there with those great films. And really funny. So many performances. We didn't mention all of them. There's Michael Chiklis was great. Ron Perlman.
Perlman was great. I did like him a lot. He was fantastic.
And Mark Rylance, I think, deserves a Best Supporting Actor nomination, at least.
He already has one of those.
Yeah. He'll get another. He's going to get another one. I can't believe it.
Sly Warrior.
Yeah, this was better than, what was that, Stranger of Spy, or I can't remember.
Bridge of Spies.
So as we sit here on this Zoom call during the 5th wave of the pandemic with thousands of unvaccinated individuals dying every day, and things are looking a little bleak, this was kind of the satire I needed and was hungering for. And it's dark comedy. It's outrage. It was a great Friday night. Thank you, Adam McKay. 3 bones. It is a must for the Movie Lodge. It's a must-see for the Movie Lodge.
Oh,
yeah, there's a lot to chew on.
Very lodgy, very bonkers, and hats off to you, Timothee Chalamet. This is what you were made to do.
That's great. I hope Chalamet gets an Oscar nod. Wouldn't that be great?
I would love it.
Tyler Perry for Oscar nom. That's who I'm voting for.
Oh, man.
FYC Tyler Perry.
We are going to party so hard the day Tyler Perry wins his first Oscar.
Oh, yeah.
I hope it's
Long overdue.
I hope it's directing, writing, and starring. I hope it's a Dances with Wolves, Dances with Medea.
It will be. I'll be front and center.
Well, this has been a Royal Rumble. Although we've remained pretty civil, I'm proud of us.
I think we're all pretty beat right now.
We're pretty beat down.
Feeling the pinch.
Yeah, the world's beating us down. So we have to give love and light to each other, even when we're rumbling.
Exactly. I'm glad it wasn't bitter because I am happy to see you.
Yeah, it's great. This is great.
Really
I was looking forward to this. This is fabulous.
I did want to throw out one New Year's resolution, which looks like a little questionable at this point, but we do want to go to every single AMC in Los Angeles County this year, within the year. So
let's do it. Let's climb that
I believe we can achieve.
Yeah. So we got the AMC A-list ready. Just calm down. Don't give us a million new cases every day. Just calm down so we can get back to theaters.
Brother Anthony, thanks for Zooming with us.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure as always,
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Anthony.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Love and light, y'all.
Love and light, fam.
When she's on her best behavior, don't be tempted by her favors. Never turn your back on mothers. Times are from made to be by hands that look so smooth to me. Never turn your back on others. Constant souls that don't want crossing is a cloud that come down crashing. Never turn your back on others. 3 days and 2 nights away from my friends. I want to anything that brings a quick return to my friends. To my friends. Never turn your back on others.
Zooming. Boom, boom, booming.